Support comes from Seattle Rep, presenting the return of The Play That Goes Wrong, back by popular demand this June. This award-winning comedy follows the Cornley Drama Society as their production unravels with missed cues, collapsed scenery, and onstage mishaps. Performances begin June 11th on the Bagley Wright stage. Tickets and information at seattlerep.org.
You know, every day on Up First, NPR's Golden Globe-nominated morning news podcast, we bring you three essential stories. At the heart of each story are questions. What really happened? What really mattered? What happens next? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious and to follow the facts. Follow Up First wherever you get your podcasts and start your day knowing what matters and why.
Welcome to Meet Me Here, KUOW's Arts and Culture podcast. I am Dyer Oxley. I cover pop culture around here, and today we're going to the Symphony. Yeah, pop culture at the Symphony. You are listening to Rick Ross hustling with the help of a full orchestra here in Seattle, the Seattle Symphony. In fact, this is just one example of how modern symphonies are exploring different ways to bring in audiences after many years of declining attendance across the country. And, you know, that fact, it's not exactly breaking news. The challenge of shrinking audiences, this has been a trend for many, many years now. However, if you look at the Seattle Symphony's calendar, for example, you're going to find some special performances with LeAnn Rimes, the music from Indiana Jones and Top Gun. Later on this year, just ahead of the holidays, they'll be performing music alongside the film Elf. Now, elsewhere in town, a completely different organization puts on candlelight concerts with quartets, which is a classical music approach to Taylor Swift, or Tool, or music from video games, music from Netflix's Bridgerton. Now, you'll notice among everything that I just said, I didn't mention Mozart. I didn't bring up Bach or Schubert. Symphonies across the globe have been trying a lot of tactics to get people in their doors, and embracing pop culture is one such tactic. In fact, if I'm being honest, it's the tactic that gets me in the door. So if you haven't had the inkling to go to the Symphony, you might want to take a look at what's lined up in your area, because you never know, maybe you do want to hear music from Final Fantasy, or from Spielberg movies, Battlestar Galactica, The Walking Dead, all of which are on their way to Seattle, by the way. And that's all thanks to the fact that the Seattle Symphony has someone dedicated to bringing all this pop culture into Benaroya Hall. And to explain this dynamic is that person, Andrew Joslyn, violinist, music composer, and the Associate Director of Pop Culture Programming at the Seattle Symphony. Andrew, welcome to Meet Me Here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
First, we need to discuss this title, popular programming. Can you explain, what is popular programming?
What is popular programming? Right now, it just kind of feels like everything that's just non-classical.
Okay.
So I'm touching everything that's popular culture adjacent. So that includes film scores, that includes collaborations with like Head and the Heart with the Symphony, or Rick Ross, or, you know, we're going to be doing a Jane Austen show coming up, which, you know, it's the film scores, but it's, you know, it's enough classical, but there's enough pop culture involved. So it's kind of a grab bag of a lot
There's a lot of the
things.
Film score stuff coming up too. Does that also touch your job? Or?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So like, you know, like we have the scores of like Ennio Morricone coming up, and you know, or like Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Like just absolutely fun summer blockbuster, but with full symphony.
It says to me that there is a desire to experience this music that is very relatable and familiar, but in a classical way. Yeah. I mean, do you agree with the sentiment that desire is out there, or do you feel this is more okay?
No, absolutely.
Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking of like, so I'm writing off the high. We had Rick Ross with the Symphony last night.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it was a banger of a show. It's ridiculous. It's Rick Ross, you know, doing Port of Miami 20-year anniversary with the Symphony. You know, it's the boss. Like, he walks out on stage and the entire hall, you know, 2,300 people are losing their minds. But the beautiful thing is when you're in the lobby before the show, people are dressed up, and they're making a night of it. It's an experience. It's not just any run of show. Like, I'm just going out to see whoever at the Crocodile. I'm seeing an event, and it's a one night only experience. They're dressed. They're looking nice. They had a good dinner. They're just like there with their friends. You want it to be a special event for yourself and for everyone around you. And it's like, I think the symphony and going to a concert hall, it kind of gives you that excuse. Like, man, I got that like beautiful suit, but I'm not going to go to the Crocodile in it, or I'm not going to go to, WAMU Theater. But all of a sudden you show up at the Symphony Hall and you have the excuse to be like, I'm going to make an evening of this. I'm going to bring my girl out or whatever. I'm going to make this there's a level of magic all of a sudden that like these kind of, when you bring a show like that together, it's like, people want to make it a full-blown experience.
That hits on a curiosity that I've had, and it's the audiences. Like, what are these audiences like? And is there a difference in the response, the general vibe, the tuxedos that you mentioned, the attire?
Oh, yeah. I mean, last night, like, if you want diversity, diversity showed up at Benaroya Hall. It's very different than if we had a Shostakovich concert or even like Decemberists showing up and performing. I think it was just such a beautiful marriage. You had young and old. You have all different backgrounds and like classes and creeds. I was just like, this is Seattle showing up. Like, and it was like, we even had Seahawks showing up last night. And I was like, this is the event. This is where people want to be tonight. And it felt amazing.
I'm aware of kind of local symphony because of the pop culture angles, and particularly I love it when I see like video game music.
Yeah.
Bear McCreary.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one I'm excited about.
That one's going to be epic.
That epic is perfectly for the uninitiated.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. People that don't know who Bear McCreary is, he's from Bellingham.
Yeah.
He is touched everything from video games like God of War and like some really epic stuff to TV with like Rings of Power,
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. People are just like, he's done films. He has like a heavy metal band. Like, this guy is, he's touched everything, and he's like the sweetest dude.
Stuff.
It's really good. I called his agent and was just like, I really like Bear. I don't see a symphony show of his stuff anywhere, but he's touched everything. Can I convince him and his team to create a show? And we're world premiering it with us in Seattle. So that, like, there you go. Pop culture meets symphony right there in a
video
nutshell.
games, TVs, movie, everything coming to the symphony. Okay,
yeah, and doing heavy metal.
He does everything.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm going to touch more on that in a second, but this isn't exactly like foreign territory for you, right?
No,
you
not
have
at
a
all.
background before. Tell me a little bit about your background here.
All right, I'll try and give a real broad stroke. I started violin when I was 5. I loved classical music, but I had a real hard time trying to figure out how I was going to have an actual sustainable career in it, because I wasn't a Juilliard kid. I wasn't going to be getting into Oberlin or an Eastman. And so when I went to college, did my undergrad, I kind of freaked out and picked up an electric violin and joined a rock band and just started touring and wanted to learn the actual like brick and mortar of the music industry. So publishing, music licensing, how to tour, how to get your music in film and TV. Like I learned everything outside of a normal career path in classical music. So, which led me to touring, doing songwriting with like Leslie Odom. I did stuff with Kesha, like her song Praying. I'm a co-writer on that. I was a music director with Macklemore. I joined up with them in 2008. We toured together through The Heist, through This Unruly Mess. Did stuff with David Bazan from Pedro the Lion. Like the list goes on and on and on.
Okay.
Like, so I've done film scores. I've done production music. Did stuff like, I don't know. It's kind of, I did everything that I could to have some sort of career in music. And it led me on this bizarre misadventures. Like I felt like I kind of fell into Alice in Wonderland and like, took every single like pill and tea and shrunk and enlarged myself. And, because I had classical training, I'd always existed in a kind of a classical fringe world. I was always playing violin. I was always writing, I was composing, I was working with classical musicians, but bringing them into these pop collaborations, be it with hip-hop artists, be it with heavy metal, be it with gospel, be it with, I mean, you name it, I've touched it. And I started working with Seattle Symphony as a contract orchestrator around 2017. My first gig was actually Sierra, Russell Wilson, and Macklemore had a big show with the symphony. So I was brought in, did full charting for Macklemore with the symphony, and then that was my first kind of intro to Seattle Symphony writ large. And since then, I just kind of was hired on for random one-offs, like brought in Nancy Wilson from Heart. I brought in, I was brought in to do a Twin Peaks show when that was premiered. Thunder Pussy when they had a show. Like I wrote and produced the whole thing. So when this position came up for, a director in popular programming, I was like, I that sounds like a dream job. I have no idea if I have the CV for it. Like, because I'm very much on the artist side and hadn't come up in an arts admin.
I don't
career,
know. You just ran off a huge ran the range of like pop music. I mean, Pedro the Lion, that kind of hits my sweet spot. But then Kesha, right? Sierra, Macklemore, so this is quite a wide range. But it's almost like you are finding like that Venn diagram sweet spot between modern pop sensibilities and something that is more classically trained.
Right.
Which
there you go. That was my thesis. We're done. We're done. We're done with the podcast. Nights out. You got it. Yeah, that's it. Like it. That's why this job felt like such a dream job, because I was like, when you pursue a career in music, long story short, it usually feels more like a calling than an actual career, because you're like, what are my what's my prospects of actually making money at this? And it's I always was trying to figure out how, because this world of where popular music and classical music mixes, it's so beautiful and it feels untouched.
So video game music, right? Not exactly new. This was stuff happening before the pandemic, movies and so forth. I've been aware of it because I'm just a nerd. But I do find folks that are surprised when I bring up, the music of Final Fantasy is touring and it's coming through. The music of Zelda, which is one I saw, is coming through. And folks just kind of scratch their head and like, you mean the little 8-bit bleeps? And so it's like, but wait till that opens up.
Yeah, wait until it's with a full symphony. It's taken culture a minute to actually give credibility to video game music. Right. Like even the Grammys as an organization, it's not like until like 2 years ago they actually have a category for video game music.
Yeah.
And it's kind of insane, but there, like, what is it? Austin Wintory, who did like the Journey score. It's a gorgeous video game score. Like there's some out there that are incredible that like you get them in front of an orchestra and it's like, wow, this is legit beautiful classical music. Like it's modern day cinema.
Support comes from Seattle Rep, presenting the return of The Play That Goes Wrong, back by popular demand this June. This award-winning comedy follows the Cornley Drama Society as their production unravels with missed cues, collapsed scenery, and onstage mishaps. Performances begin June 11th on the Bagley Wright stage. Tickets and information at seattlerep.org.
Seattle's economy is complicated. Inflation, tariffs, AI, layoffs. It's a lot to keep track of.
That's where we come in. I'm Joshua McNichols.
And I'm Monica Nicholsberg.
We host Booming, a podcast about the economic forces shaping our lives here in the Pacific Northwest.
Every week, we dig into the big questions about our economy and where you fit in.
Find Booming on the KUOW app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I can point people to data from National Endowment for the Arts, League of American Orchestras. The challenges that symphonies have been facing have been known for many. This is a decades-long trend. But these pop culture performances, do you feel that they are reaching new audiences? And if so, is there any sort of crossover effect? Like, are folks coming for Fallout and World of Warcraft and then are we able to transfer them over to like Beethoven and Mahler?
Maybe. It's hard to say if there's like a conversion rate that's consistent.
Right.
The thing that's amazing right now is if you're too purist about an art form, it excludes people.
Yeah.
And I think right now the walls are just coming down enough for orchestras, for jazz, for other, and even for folk. Folk in certain ways has been a little too purist. And I think there's enough. I guarantee in a certain number of years, there's going to be no genres. It's just going to be like, I'm a Zydeco heavy metal, like bluegrass, classical band. Like, come on. Like, art is just free-flowing and people are going to do whatever. So it's nice that there's now this level of permission and ease about coming to a concert. Some people, like, they'll come to a classical concert and they're like, when can I clap? I can't cough. I can't, there's a level of etiquette that sometimes feels a little too restrictive.
Yeah.
But you come to a Rick Ross show and people are like, they're showing up late, they're getting drunk, they're yelling and just screaming, and they're like, it's the boss.
Hall.
They're like, it's the boss. Like, they're freaking out. You even get that with film concerts too. Like, like we had Home Alone. People are crying in the audience and they're clapping.
The music from Home Alone. This is John Williams.
This is
right?
John Williams.
Yeah.
So it's like people, you're watching this film all together as a community event, and you see the moments, like the big emotional swell.
Oh, Kevin, I'm so sorry.
And people are cheering together, like in the audience, because they can feel it in the music. And it's like, you don't get that in a normal theater. You don't get that. Like, it's like the wall has come down. You have permission to just enjoy the show, but you're at a symphony hall.
I had the same experience at it was a Legends of Zelda concert.
Yeah.
The music from Zelda, and not only was like the audience, you could just kind of feel the vibe.
Yeah, there's a palpable feeling.
I've been to Beethoven, I've been to those concerts, but this one's there, and the vibe was wearing cosplay. Like Link was in the audience.
Yeah.
This was different, and it was just a totally different experience. Yet it was also very relatable.
Right.
Because I felt like modern audiences, they're probably not. The general public is probably not touching a lot of the deeper stuff, the Schuberts or the Franz Liszts and that kind of stuff. But they are hearing jazz on Fallout, and they are hearing Bear McCreary all over the place, even if they don't realize it.
Right.
My wife went to Ramin Djawadi touring just the music from Game of Thrones, and that packed Climate Pledge Arena.
Yeah.
And so the music is there,
Yeah.
but it feels like, you talk about finding new audiences and stuff.
Right.
It feels like, where are we going to find that sweet spot?
Right. But the thing is, there's people that it was their first time coming to a concert hall like that last night. Like, there was people that were just like, I've never been to Benaroya. I've never been to a symphony concert. And they're like, I do want to come to more. I don't know what, because I'm not familiar with the rep, but this feels more accessible to me now.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important distinction, because I think sometimes one of the hardest things with certain art forms is there's a misnomer that you have to be educated to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the case. Like, there's some classical music that it's like it was made for the common man.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the case now, but it doesn't mean that people can't just go and enjoy it and participate. And hell, maybe they'll see a Fallout concert with a full symphony and be like, you know what? I really like Liszt. Like, I think, again, it's just barriers are coming down, and I think there's an ease. And I think that's where what's important is I think audiences should feel welcome.
Let's talk about the hot take question that has everybody talking. I can't believe I'm saying Timothée Chalamet's name.
Oh, yeah.
He's in everything, and now he's in this podcast. I get the sentiment behind what he was saying. I think he said it rather crudely and insensitively.
He's like, well, why am I going to go and see the opera?
Well, using the term dying, I think, is the wrong way to put it. But with everything that we're talking about and with new audiences, I mean, is that an accurate statement?
I don't think so. I don't. I mean, look at the social media fallout post to that interview. Like, people were just like, opera's alive and well, ballet's alive and well.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, okay, let's be honest. The music industry writ large, be it classical, be it an independent record label,
Yeah.
be it an independent songwriter that's just busking on the street, we're all struggling.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out what the next steps are.
Yeah.
It's not just a very narrow focused, like, little swath of the industry. Yeah, traditionally, I think the model that a lot of different sects of the industry, be it orchestras that needed a very strong donor base to keep programming alive and stuff, or a record label where they're like, we need records.
That's
oh,
more
wait,
like
that
the
doesn't
business
exist.
side of things. I mean, we could point to data about audience shrinkage, and classical music is not alone in this. You talk about the regular music industry and so forth. But at the same time, Ramin Djawadi is selling out Climate Pledge Arena, little quartets I can't get tickets to, here. And Rick Ross comes to town.
Yeah, and it's selling out.
And it's selling out. So, I mean, what is the accurate picture here? Because are we expanding the audience? Are we adding new audience? Or
I think we're meeting them where they're at.
Yeah.
I think that's more what's happening. Because I think, again, I think orchestras and like they've been a little too scared about opening up that floodgate, and maybe I guess at my core I really believe that there's always been an interest, and there's this is going to be a tangent, but I promise it's going to come back. One of my favorite things when we do a collaboration with an artist, say like Head and the Heart, classical music. People undoubtedly will look at classical music and be like, that is a high art form. That is a highest expression of a piece of music. And like, undoubtedly, the musicians are the top of the class. The music is incredible. The process of creating it, the whole thing. Like, people will look at that and be like, that's not AI slop.
Yeah.
That's not just some person walking over and pressing a button on a Serato and just being like, yo, here's my beat. They respect the art form. So when you have like a Head and the Heart come and play, when they hear their music for the first time reimagined with a full symphony, they're like, oh my God, I'm hearing it again for the first time. This is magic. It's all of a sudden like seeing your video in black and white, all of a sudden in Technicolor.
Wow.
A lot of artists will all of a sudden be like, that's what I really wanted. That's the full fleshing out of the music. When you have 70 musicians on stage realizing the full potential of your music, that it's just sheer magic. I don't know how else to put it.
What are you hoping the audiences are grabbing from all this? And, well, let's say audiences and performances. What are you hoping that they're taking away from these shows?
Just the experience, just the sheer, like, it's an emotional whirlwind to be at a symphony, like a normal symphonic show, be it with a band or not. But when it's finally accessible to someone that maybe Shostakovich and, Borodin is not their cup of tea, I want people to walk away with the feeling that, like, classical music is alive and well and really important because it's so emotionally deep and will hit you on a level that most other shows won't. So I guess my answer to like a Timothée Chalamet is like, no, it's not dead. It's an evolving art form that is still trying to find its place, but I think it's alive and well, and it's coming into its own.
I would add that I think that the classical music scene in general, and I think you're proof of this, Seattle Symphony is proof of this, is just understanding that evolution happens. Music evolves, and that evolution includes the theme song to Superman,
right.
And it includes, Fallout and all these other...
Everything. It's just make sure you don't... Like, I want to make sure no art is too precious.
Yeah.
Because if you do, then you do strangle it, and then it dies.
Are there any shows coming up that you're personally excited for?
Oh, my God. There's a lot. We're doing the music of Jane Austen.
Yeah.
But it's everything that her catalog has touched. So it's the Dario Marinelli like film scores. It's the Patrick Doyle. It's the like we're doing everything from like the 95 Sense and Sensibility with like Colin Firth and Kate Winslet all the way to like the newer version of Emma and stuff. So kind of just a very different show, obviously. So it might not be for everybody, but if you're a Jane Austen or a literary fan, it's a very, very well thought out, curated, very precise show.
It's on the Symphonies calendar. You can check that out.
Yep.
Have you ever just walked through an arcade and just like listen and be like, oh
yeah, Street Fighter.
Ninja
That would be
Gaiden.
Street Fighter Turbo. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's get the Blanca fight music up. Yeah, that'd be. I don't know how that well they'll communicate to orchestra, but yeah, totally.
Perfect. Andrew.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything that you do.
Thanks,
personally,
man.
just as a local nerd, I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for talking with us on Meet Me Here.
I know. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Gotta thank Andrew Joslyn, the Associate Director of Popular Programming over at the Seattle Symphony. I really liked that conversation. Meet Me Here is by KUOW, a proud member of the NPR network. It is produced by Kyle Norris, Brandy Fullwood, and Matt Martin. It is hosted by Jeannie Yandel, myself, Dyer Oxley, and Katie Campbell. Katie covers books, but she deserves a very special thank you this episode for bringing us audio from the floor of the Rick Ross concert. So Katie Campbell, book czar, and Rick Ross fan. And our editor is Phyllis Fletcher. Now, if you like Meet Me Here, please take the time to rate and review us, because that really does help us get the word out about this podcast. And this show is really only possible because of your financial support. And you can help us make all of these local shows that you rely on over at kuow.org/meet. Thanks for listening.
Support comes from Seattle Rep, presenting the return of The Play That Goes Wrong, back by popular demand this June. This award-winning comedy follows the Cornley Drama Society as their production unravels with missed cues, collapsed scenery, and onstage mishaps. Performances begin June 11th on the Bagley Wright stage. Tickets and information at seattlerep.org.
Soundside brings you beyond the headlines with news and conversation rooted in the Pacific Northwest. I'm Libby Dankman. Every week I sit down with local journalists for Soundside's Front Page, where we give you a shortcut to understanding the latest news and cultural moments and how they affect us here in the Puget Sound region. It's all here on Soundside, on the radio or streaming Monday through Thursday at noon and 8 p.m. on KUOW, on the KUOW app, or wherever you get your podcasts.